Hi, I'm Rob Bowman, and this is Flowers for Your Grave, the pilot episode of Castle.
I'm Andrew Marlowe, the executive producer and creator.
I'm John Huertas. I play Detective Esposito.
I am also John Huertas, playing Richard Castle. Nathan Fillion playing Richard Castle.
I'm Stana Katic, and I played Kate Beckett.
Yeah, you do.
How many roses were killed in the making of this episode?
None. They're silk.
Are those?
Yes, I didn't want them to be, but they were.
How many silkworms?
So this is
Which one was that?
victim version number 3. This is the third lady we used to accomplish the lady on the table. There's one lady used in that very opening, but over the course of this beginning, we ultimately ended up using 3.
This is Monet Mazur. She plays Castle's first wife
Second
and
wife.
publisher. Second wife.
wife.
Dur.
Lovely lady, very
She
talented.
was so great to work with. Boy.
So the interesting thing about this episode actually is that we originally shot this as a presentation that was about 37 minutes, and we had to fill out the episode when we got picked up to series. So the presentation is shot in New York City, and this is a rooftop in New York. And then when we came back to fill out the episode, we filled out the rest of it back here in Los Angeles, where the rest of the the rest of the episodes are shot.
And thanks to Rob Bowman, it is seamless.
So this is lady number 1. That's actually a shot. This shot and
New York.
that point of view of the girl were from New York. This is lady number 2. This is in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Months later.
In a very windowed Los Angeles apartment.
Yes.
24.
So
I was so sick this night. This was like 4 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night.
not quite, but it was late. But you were off in the corner with your eyes closed. I remember. Yes.
Yeah, I was not
Crying
feeling
a little bit, if I recall. You guys all talked about it.
You knew her.
They did? The
Yeah,
crew?
your eyes were a little teary
They-
from the congestion.
Yeah. They lost a little respect for you that day.
This was our first week working with our Los Angeles crew. We were so fortunate. We had a lot of film people working behind the cameras. Really
Yeah.
made it easier.
Your hair looks a little longer there, doesn't it?
Does this look familiar to anyone?
No.
Seamus Trevor, new guy.
He is a new guy.
He wasn't around when we shot the original presentation, and we brought him in when we filled out the show. So he was referred to for the entire season as the new guy. And
And I think second season will probably still
Oh yeah.
refer to him as the new guy.
We promised him it would only last for the duration of the.
he's
the,
lobbying me to
first
bring in
episode.
another character, just so that character will be the new guy. He doesn't want to be the rookie next year.
Anybody.
It was sad. Nathan forced him to carry his bags. It was very embarrassing.
Yep. And I made him run lines with me too.
I'm just glad you cast somebody.
We're actually back in New York for this scene.
Oh, that's right.
New York City. It was hot that summer. Heat wave. 95% humidity. Wouldn't rain.
Really?
I thought it was you who brought the heat.
Keep talking.
Nah, I'm done.
You should work. I mean, you could have retired him. You could have crippled him. You could have had him join the friggin' circus. But no, you had to put a bullet through his head.
So in here, the difficulty when you're launching a series with a pilot is establishing all the characters and then bringing the story in, and the story is our mystery. But we want to establish Richard Castle here as a ladies' man, a man's man, a man about town, a guy who has a good time. And it's in this scene where we're establishing his credentials as an author, how well respected he is, and he's just killed off his main character because he's grown bored, and now he's going through a crisis of confidence and has writer's block.
We knew, knowing that he was about to be dismantled by his ex and then soon hear his mother, we took the liberty and privilege of building up, his apparent image in the beginning with that little montage, which used to be much bigger and longer and faster, but he looked like a man at the height of his powers and time of his life, and then only to, knock him down at the knees in the subsequent scenes.
So having written the character of Richard Castle, when you go through the process of making a pilot, you have to go find somebody who can fill those shoes and bring something to it. And do you remember our first meeting, Nathan?
You guys were very kind. You came down to a location shoot. I was on Desperate Housewives
You're
at
on
the time.
Desperate Housewives, yeah.
Yes, in a little church parking lot, and you came into my trailer, and I said, "Stop looking for this guy, because I'm this guy."
And tell us what you were wearing that day.
Oh, like a sweater and
Khakis.
slacks, and I was very
You looked
namby-pamby. I was very white toast.
You look like one of those guys on Desperate Housewives.
I was kind of Melba toasted.
Yeah. And you're like, just let me be a man. Can I have like just a little stubble on my chin? No, he said, I am this guy. And he was absolutely right. And after that meeting, we knew that we had found our castle.
What was the conversation like after you left that trailer? No way. Call the agency. What was that smell?
Didn't you find it a little awkward when he put his hand on your knee?
No,
You know,
we stood
stuff
on the
like that.
we stood on the sidewalk just north of the church, and I don't remember I couldn't quote it, but we knew we were done. We were hoping we were done, and we'd found you. Then something really cool occurred. We then went into the Beckett search, and I knew that we were at least partners when Nathan sat in on every single woman we read, and we probably read 140.
Good.
Just 140 ladies. And Stana came in probably near the end of the first 100, and then I can't remember what the.
You kept looking?
Not because I wanted to. Or somewhere, I mean, kind of near the end, not the last, but that she walked in with a certain moxie and a chip on her shoulder, and which we liked because we needed somebody who would sort of bite back.
In fact, in this interrogation scene, she walked into the casting room the way she did in this interrogation scene, like
And this
she
is
owned the
scene,
room.
This was the scene we used
This was
to
the audition scene, yeah.
to audition.
Yeah, this was the audition scene. It's a tough scene because we're trying to establish both characters. We're also trying to establish some antagonism and sparks here. But
Describe what she's doing. Describe what he's doing. You have this.
yeah, she thinks that she's interrogating him, and he thinks he's on his first date.
Yeah. So that was kind of our mantra. And then we went through the process, and there was just nobody else who had that inherent moxie that she had.
And also the chemistry. You know, a show like this, it's the chemistry of the leads. It's going to be the engine of the show.
Well, here's the interesting. I'm getting to that is that you sort of pick the right, the first person. You got Nathan, and then you find Stana, and now you hope that after countless people, and Nathan was always our first choice, but we had to look at other guys, and we ended up choosing Nathan anyways.
Right.
I'm okay with that. Awkward pause.
It's the process, right?
Is that then you put them together and say, do these two people who have never met have series magic chemistry that will last for years, and the audience will want to tune in by the millions every week? And you don't know that, and it's just a. So then you put them in a room and you start working, and once we realized we had it, then the rest of the show, you felt like, well, we have the most important thing, which is the chemistry between he and her. Now, let's build the show around him.
Didn't you guys have to pull back after you presented the pilot? Didn't you have to pull back on some of the chemistry for the first episode? Wasn't there like a note?
There was a little bit of concern that you guys looked like you were going to go to bed in the second episode.
Episode 2, right?
And that we wanted to manage it. So that there was enough to keep it going, but
just
not
like a
too
slight
much that you were over-promising for the audience. And that's always the mystery when you're in the editing room of seeing how it plays, because we went through, this script is a script that I think Rob and I know the best of all during the season because we live with it for so long. And I think that there's a point where you lose a little bit of perspective and you have to trust some other people. Now here we're back in New York.
At Kate Unger's loft. She's a designer.
I
Big
love
loft.
Nathan's face. As soon as he walks in, it's like, oh no, not again.
I think Andrew, on the moment, called that the Rockford face.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the
little
Jim
bit of the
Rockford.
Jim Rockford. Ah, okay. And this is a really important scene because we've seen the guy on top of the world, and then he comes home, and we're showing him as the beleaguered son, and then as the great interesting father. And
The single father.
yeah, but it's in this scene that we want to set up the relationship between him and his daughter, and get a sense of who he is. And one of the things I asked Nathan and Molly to play around with is to find a little physicality. This moment where he pushes her up the
This was literally
up
invented
the hallway.
on the day.
Yeah, on the day, and it came out. When I have stepkids, and when my stepdaughter was little, she used to stand on my feet, and I'd walk her across the room. And I talked to them about finding something like that felt comfortable for them. But it's just such a great moment of physicality in their relationship that defines so much of the love that's there between the two characters.
How did the two of you just go off into the hallway and work it out?
Your specifications were that we couldn't have our faces too far apart. We had to have the light. The only time we could get light from the side was in the opening on that side
first
of the hallway.
doorway, yeah.
And we had to always kind of be facing forward, yet at the same time somehow. So we tried like about 5 different things until we landed on this little.
Right. And it's funny, and I know we were up against the deadline for Molly 2 to the minute, but that has been singled out by several people as the defining moment between you and Molly in the pilot.
And credit to Molly too, who was willing to play and find something and work out and try to create a little moment.
Real authenticity to the moment. It was great.
Isn't this Seamus's first scene?
No. He was in the rose petal scene earlier
Yeah.
that we shot in downtown LA.
Yeah.
And that shot first before this?
No, you mean
In
it
terms
was shot.
of sequencing of his...
I think this was the first scene he
I
ever
think this
shot.
is the first thing he shot.
Yeah.
Oh, he was nervous.
And this
Yeah.
this is back in LA with the precinct we built in Los Angeles, and you'll see that we have 2 different precincts in this that we've tried to integrate.
We actually had to replace that chair because he peed in it because he was so scared and
So
nervous.
nervous.
for his
Actually,
first
that was me. It was a new guy hazing thing.
day. Oh.
So here's a scene that I've always felt has been about the friend, the younger brother, asking the friend or older sister, look, is this obsession about reading books at night about murders, is this about something to do with your mom? Because we're going to find out that Beckett has a tragic history with her mom. And she just skirts the point and moves on to something else. And it's very subtle. I don't, know if anybody. I think it's very subtle that that's what John was asking her to do. But to me, that's what that scene was about. I'm not talking about it. Therefore, setting up when Castle accidentally stumbles upon it.
I agree. I mean, that's what I think when I read the scene, I was...
Is that what the scene meant to you, Stana?
Colby French, lovely man.
Mm-hmm.
What about Tisdale and Fisk? Any connection?
Other than your boy there? No.
This is in the New York precinct.
Maybe he likes you.
This is where the long lenses and reduced field of view
Right on the
saved us.
right on the river, beautiful, scenic.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It was nice being up on the roof of this building, looking at the bridge
Oh, that
going
was
over.
great.
It's really great.
We tried to shoot our cast photo up there.
Note in later scenes when we're in Montgomery's office.
I got to comment on that. This was the scene, the day we had 5 scenes to shoot. It would have been 6 because we did have the scene where she went into the captain and said, I don't want to be a partner with this guy. And I had told everybody, beginning with Ruben, who only had a couple of scenes,
Except for me.
we're not going to shoot that scene exactly. And so we went to rehearse it, and in the rush of the day, I thought I had it covered, and Ruben walks into the room, and instead of saying, sure, come on in, he turns in rehearsal and says no, and Stana goes, what? And I instantly realized I didn't tell her.
And then you promised me that we'd shoot it if we
I
got
ran
picked
up
up.
and I said, I'm really sorry. We don't have time to shoot the scene.
It's been the first of many Rob Bowman broken promises.
It's one of the challenges of production is you're facing a clock every day, and you have to finish your day's work in a allotted amount of time in the location because you don't get the location the next day. And we were really up against it. And
New York is kind of like that, isn't it? Because there's so much traffic, so many people, and the spaces are a lot smaller that it feels like you're racing the clock a lot more than, let's say, in Los Angeles filming.
Just logistically, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was the scene we had to cut. So, it became clear to Rob and I halfway through the day that we weren't going to get the scene. And I had to figure out how to cover this important scene. And it turned out that it was a great happy accident because the look that Stana gives as Beckett in the moment really defines
It's all different. It's all changed.
Yeah, it's all there.
I mean, no, he always says yes. He always lets me come into his office and talk to him. So here we have a
Oh, this is a great scene.
pretty interesting moment, and this began in rehearsal. I think it was in New York we were rehearsing.
It was rehearsals in New York, yeah.
And Castle starts on this thoughtful guess and trying to figure out who she is. And
It starts out as a game to him, and he realizes that I just trespassed. You know, I just went too far, and
Completely
he feels
disarmed her.
he feels bad about it. But what is revealed on her face in the moment is really powerful.
Great work, Stana.
And I believe I'm remembering correctly that in rehearsal in that conference room in at Silver Cup, that we knew what the scene was, and I was sitting slightly behind Stana looking at Nathan, and there was a pause in the dialogue, and I threw my look to Stana, and she was frozen. She was stuck. She couldn't talk. And it was like, what was that? So the scene changed in rehearsal. That's the beauty of rehearsal, is you never know. And so it went from her blowing him off to, he just opened, her closet, and it's a very revealing, vulnerable moment between the two of them. And I think just in terms of a note, the color of the note is a really nice place to go in a pilot with all the fun in it.
And now we're back at the New York precinct, and we're back to having some fun, and him trespassing in her world. And to me, the moment coming up here is a really great definition of who the two characters are.
Yeah.
I am not threatened.
No, I get it. I can call the mayor, and you can.
We have procedure, protocol.
Yeah, and you always come to a complete stop at a red light, and you never fudge your taxes. Tell me something. You ever have any fun? Let your hair down, drop your top.
She's gonna
Seems like
kill
so
him.
long ago.
I know.
You do know I'm wearing a gun.
And her with that dry retort just to stick the knife in.
I love how in the beginning of that bit too that there's a playfulness between Beckett and Esposito, which suggests that kind of brother-sister relationship between the two detectives.
This was our first scene we shot
Yeah.
of the whole pilot.
First,
right.
yeah.
Day one.
It's in the roof of the hotel we were staying in. I can't remember the name of the hotel.
What a view.
Parker Meridian.
Thank you very much.
And that is Central
Just get in
Park out the window.
elevator and go straight up.
That's Central Park. We were really there.
So
Yeah.
nervous.
Were you?
Yeah,
God, everybody had so much moxie that day.
So we had the girl in the dress, a stunt woman, and it was fascinating to watch because she would take her breath and then put her head in the water and float like a dead body. And we'd have to wait for the water to settle before we shot her. So she
then
was
say action.
And then say action. So it was like she was holding her breath for a good 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was
And cut was when
Phenomenal.
she couldn't hold her breath anymore.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the rule of the day.
Oh, you're good.
That's Tamala Jones playing the medical examiner.
This is, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Sort of established the sisterhood there.
between Tamala and
Yeah, Laney and Beckett,
Between
yeah.
Laney and Beckett.
Give you an order, I expect you to obey it.
Then you don't know me very well. In my book, the dress was blue.
Don't try to change the subject.
Does Tisdale and Fisk know each other?
We haven't found a connection. Why?
What about motive?
I love the physicality that you captured in the scene, Rob, of, her trying to put him in his place.
Yeah.
Then she walks away, and he's just following along like a little untrained puppy.
Yeah, right on her tail. Now we're in Los Angeles.
Oh, yes, the car racing.
That was awesome.
That was fun.
Uh-oh. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, Castle, you trouble.
We reshot this bit, yeah, in Los Angeles.
This was new to bolster her edge. We wanted to see, what a field cop she was.
So we had some footage in New York that we were limited on the day, and we had to do it in a much different way that was a much softer intro to the scene. So we were able now to come in stronger when we
thicken it
reshot
up,
in LA. Yeah.
I broke that door a few times. We had to
Take one.
Stick
yeah,
your foot through it, remember?
Yeah, and then
Put a
we had
hole
to
in it.
rebuild it.
Weren't you wearing heels or something, trying to kick it down? And
You must be so strong.
Yeah, my heel just popped out the other end.
You should invite him to join your book club.
So again, we're, these kinds of
Okay, so this is interesting.
moments.
This is in Los Angeles, right?
Oh, here we
and
go.
This.
And then this is in New York.
Wait.
This is New York.
No, this is LA. No,
This is New York.
New
Yeah,
York.
that's
You're
New
right.
York.
That's
LA.
L.A. New
New
York.
New York.
L.A.
I was never a scout.
New
New
York.
York.
New York, yeah. L.A. New York.
New York.
Yeah.
New York.
New York,
L.A.
yeah.
New York.
So it was a fun challenge in the editing room.
New York. Yeah.
And it was
And-
seamless until you watched this commentary.
L.A.
Yeah, now we're back in LA.
Now this is all rest is in L.A.
Yeah.
I just wanted to shoot the guy.
And we used a different
Actor.
Kyle Cabot.
Only
no?
because
We would have had to fly him.
we would have had to travel him, and
Back
it was
out.
just a cost thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were both great.
Both guys were really
Kyles,
good.
Yeah.
This guy, they actually look a lot alike
Yeah.
in that room.
Yeah, we cast for the type.
Well, that explains its
It's Ruben Santiago Hudson playing the captain, Montgomery.
obsession with a single subject.
Yeah, well, your superfan also has a history of delusions. Guess whose caseworker was?
Alison Tisdale.
Yeah. Her files indicate that he was on pretty heavy antipsychotics.
Limited intelligence thinks he has a personal relationship with his hero. Looks like your profile was right, Detective Beckett.
So,
And for those of you who are looking close, this interrogation room is much different than the interrogation room that she interrogates Castle in the beginning. And the interrogation took place in New York of Castle.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was
And this is shot in L.A.
Obviously, the previous interrogation was a different part of the building.
Yes, clearly. Yeah, that was down in the basement.
Yeah.
This one was in use at the time.
We
hottest room on the set.
The interrogation room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How's it editing hair, guys?
You know this kid was in and out
What?
of the system.
How is it editing hair?
The hairstyles.
You have
20
23
Yeah.
different hair
Hairstyles in this.
styles in this pilot.
In editing, it became a drinking game.
Did it really?
That's why it took so long.
God.
Hey, can you leave the box?
And we're back in the L.A., the precinct we built in L.A.
A
for this.
great precinct, by the way.
Yeah.
A great
It's
set.
an amazing set.
Alfred did a great job, our set designer.
That was inspired. That the look of that place was inspired by our early trips to New York to the meatpacking district. We went up to that club.
Yeah, the Soho Club.
Was that what it was? Soho
Yeah,
Club.
yeah.
So that was it. The appreciation of the old
Yeah.
aesthetic and then the new.
Look at
How is
Stephen
this?
J.
How is
Cannell.
it shooting
We
this?
should say something about our guest stars here today.
Amazing guest stars.
Yeah, this was so much fun. You know, in the original script, I always had the poker game with Richard Castle and some of his mystery writing buddies, and we shot the presentation. You know, we didn't have any credibility to be able to get people in, and so when we went to fill out the pilot, we knew we were going to series. We made some calls, and we were able to get James Patterson in the scene, and he was terrific and a lot of fun. And of course, he had some history with ABC with Women's Murder Club. And Stephen Cannell, who is a very old friend of Rob's. Rob just picked up the phone and gave Stephen a call. And it was just such a wonderful opportunity to have these two great writers, two great mystery writers, to fill out the table and give legitimacy to this. And you know, here's a guy trying to solve, you know, a real life murder, and he's couching it like a story. And these guys are like, that's a terrible story.
Yeah, it's
You
funny.
can't end it there.
Now,
There's
were,
got to be a twist.
were these two members of the Screen Actors Guild?
Yeah, they arrest him.
They are now if they weren't before. No, Cannell's been doing it for a long time. I think Patterson has before also.
Wow.
What I love about it is you pick two guys who, this is not their profession. They walk in, they can act.
They were great.
Love it. Love it.
Well, they're just being themselves.
That's what your story needs. The character who thinks.
And you know, they both thought that you were very generous to them in the scene.
And not
that you
bad.
gave a lot. Was it fun to act opposite these guys?
It was a ball. It was
And
a
to
piece
meet
of
them?
cake. It was a piece of, yes, and to meet them as well, yes. Very exciting for
Was
me.
it? Ask the
New
question
York?
again. Ask the question again.
Was it fun for you to meet these guys, especially since your character is this kind of novelist?
Very exciting to meet them. A lot of fun. I'm not the kind of actor who needs to tail a novelist to play a novelist on TV, but to hang out with them and just and see that they're just jovial, fun, relaxed guys. It's like, yeah, I got this part locked.
I gotta say, tailing a novelist, not that interesting. You basically sit in a chair and watch them type for 8 hours and bang their head against the wall. So
We're coming to a defining moment in this relationship.
I even
we call this Lucy and the football, right?
Lucy in the football.
This is where, Castle is just sincere enough that she's had her guard up the whole time. She's not going to fall for his line of bull. And then, the case is over, everything's done. This guy's being sweet. Okay, maybe just for a second, I'll let my guard down and
Great moment
trust
coming.
what he's saying.
Right. That.
Nice.
Oh, I love that.
It's nice.
I was just kissed by Richard Castle.
That's not what she's thinking.
What was she thinking?
It's like, what's his angle?
No, not yet.
Maybe there's no angle.
Now she
maybe-
starts thinking about the angle, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe it's
shouldn't
okay.
have been so
Maybe
hard on him.
He's a nice
He's
guy.
not so
Nice
bad.
guy after all.
That was a
No.
good.
That
That was a
is
good
the only
positive.
ones.
What the wait?
Wait a second.
up,
Wait a
hold
second.
up.
Whoa.
Where's my... He took my... Oh, hell no.
Richard Castle, you are under arrest for felony theft and obstruction of justice.
And that look on his face. I think Andrew and I were in the van on the way back to the hotel. We were talking about, that we wanted to cut. I can't remember exactly how the sequencing was, but he said we should cut to Castle when the door burst open and see him smile. And boy, was that an insight into who Castle was for me.
He knew she was coming.
But that's the thing is, I knew I was going to get her. It's gonna be fun to have her chew me out.
Get chased.
And that's an engine for the series.
Yeah.
Is watching her squirm and get mad at me is going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch for the audience.
Like I said, that was a fun scene for me that day because we shot that at a library at Columbia University, and my class reunion, I went to Columbia, had been the weekend before, and I couldn't go because we were shooting.
Oh.
So just have that little homecoming up at Columbia
Nice.
while we were shooting. It was a
Nice.
lot of fun.
Yeah. But you still got the wrong guy.
Really?
And so this is a fun moment here where you see that there's a little doubt creeping into her, and that she wonders if, in fact, he may be right. We want to set Beckett up as a really great cop, so she's not going to turn her back on something if there are unanswered questions. And what we did in the cross-cutting of this scene is try to imply that even though these two characters aren't working together yet physically, there is this notion of they've already started to solve the crime together.
Common thinking. Common problem, common solution.
Doesn't make any sense.
Somebody set up Kyle to take the fall. Somebody who knew enough about his fixation with me to use it to get away with murder. That means we're not looking for a serial killer. We're looking for a good old-fashioned murderer, someone with motive.
This was a process shot that we shot in New York in the hottest room ever. It must have been 100 degrees that day in New York.
And 140 in this room.
Yeah, and they're in a car and hot lights are shooting at it. Oh, man, that day.
And at one point, you'd asked Nathan if he could pick up his pace, and Nathan said,
What did I say?
I'm saying the words as fast as I could remember them. There was a lot of dialogue in this scene.
That was a great moment when she popped up. Half tipsy, I believe.
Yeah, having Susan Sullivan pop in that moment.
We shot this
to break
on-
the bubble because it's a very exposition-heavy scene, and we just wanted to make sure that we popped the bubble in the middle, so that we just weren't laying the exposition out there.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Susan once again steals the scene. Love it.
Now you guys shot this in a really hot room in New York.
Yeah, that's in New York. And
the
you
other
guys are back
scene,
in
yeah,
LA.
we're shooting in a really nice, brand new stage, air conditioned. They actually turn it off when we start rolling, but then it comes back on and keeps us nice and cool.
Well, as far
Wow.
as I know, she wasn't seeing anyone, and none of her other case files fit the profile.
Well, somebody had to know something about her.
So if the killer...
She's trying to add more work to my plate.
Somebody wanted Allison dead. Just have to figure out why.
You all right, Rob? I don't know if you guys can hear that at home, but Rob Bowman is...
Swine flu.
By the time you see this, that flu will be eradicated.
Can you tell us about the music? Why you guys picked this music? Andrew, I know you guys went through a couple of scores for the show.
We worked really hard on finding a musical identity for this, and we wanted to find something that implied having a really good time, but also was using instrumentation to deal with the mystery aspect of it. And our composer Robert Duncan found this great sound with the mandolin, which both serves as castle hijinks, sort of the little cat in the hat, what sort of trouble he's going to get into, but also can turn on a dime to take you into the mystery. Because part of the challenge of the show is we're dealing with dead bodies, and we're dealing with, some funny stuff, and we have to be able to turn on a dime at any scene, and the instrumentation has to reflect that.
Maybe we should talk a moment about Keir.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a privilege to have Keir Dullea in the pilot. He's such a great actor, and his work in 2001, I've always been a big fan. I know you were too, Rob.
Well, the pinnacle moment was during the filming, walking up to Keir. Can I ask you a favor, please? And he just said, "Open the pod bay doors, Hal." And how did you know? Oh, so cool.
You were very well behaved.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
And this is an important scene for me as well, because this is the first time, I think, in the show and thus the series, where it kind of landed for me, for Castle, that murder matters to someone. As much fun as he's having, and as much of a jaunt this is for him, obviously it hits a somber note here with Keir, and I think he let that land really well for us.
Yeah, he really brought the victim side of the story home. And then, your characters notice something, and you're on that train of thought, and she's impatient with you. So I think, actually, for Beckett's character, the nose grab right after is really important for her. That physicality, that physical comedy, to be able to follow really closely is really, what the show is all about. There's also a great moment in that Keir scene, which is kind of, the homage to Columbo, where you start to leave, and then you turn back and you're doing that one more thing. Can I ask you just one more question? I love that little nod.
I have a question for you, Rob.
Yeah.
The establishing shots that we have between some of these scenes, where do those come from? They're obviously not stock shots that we just
In the
purchased.
pilot or the series?
Both. Like in the pilot, or were they stock that we purchased? And
The majority of the shots that we use were purchased stock shots. They're from all the studios around town. They're
Right.
pulled from features. The criteria we have is the quality of them. They have to be a broadcast quality, high def quality.
And they also have to help with the storytelling.
And that's really the quest that we go through, that we struggle through in post, is establishing shots that say something.
so you guys have to go through a bunch of
It's a
lots.
long
Cherry
shot,
pick out of
and you do it every episode.
Yeah.
So but now that we've gone into series, are some of these shots done by us, like a crew?
No, what we would hope when we come back is that we would have a unit go to New York and shoot, for some time, and actually have more specific, this is the west side, and
Yeah, so you can really be.
Yeah, because right now they're just
specific to
kind of
story.
flyovers, and we're trying to suggest place. But between the movement of the shot, the lighting of the shot, and the location of the shot is where we're trying to find the right shots for every episode. It's a journey.
But at the top of the sequence, there was one hand crank shot, which is something that we were
bridge.
trying out for the pilot, where
Yeah.
you saw the bridge kind of jump there.
Yeah.
And that's something that you did on your previous show, Daybreak, that you were playing around with.
Yeah, it was Bill Rowe had brought it to me on Daybreak, and we'd use it to kind of create anxiety and whatnot. But it can actually be quite fun. The fun part about that establishing shot was Andrew and I were on the other side of the building and had seen something nice with the Brooklyn Bridge. We walked around the corner and saw that Brooklyn Bridge was the tower was right there at the end of the street.
And we're like, we're shooting here.
So it was all fell within a frame. And then I put the hand crank right side by side with the 35 mil, so you have the little jiggle, and then you cut to the hard shot. And but we just haven't had those opportunities in the episodes to shoot establishing shots. You're too busy photographing dialogue.
Right.
So there's been a lot of back and forth between the two characters, establishing who has the upper hand. Castle says, "I was sure I was right," and she says, "Oh, come on, didn't you figure it out?" And he goes, "Oh, so I was right," taking away her moment of glory. And then we continue that back and forth in here. And now this is really the first time in the episode where the two of them are on the same page working together.
But almost impossible to prove.
Unless you find the second passport.
Gotta be freaked after your little meet and greet.
Keep eyeballs on him. If he moves, I want to know.
The things that people will do for money.
This guy killed his own sister in cold blood and 2 more people to cover it up. He's either a world-class sociopath. There's a lot more to this story than just money.
All about the story for Castle.
Oh, Markaway, tell him I said hello.
And here's our Judge Markaway, who, in his other life, is actually the voice of Homer Simpson.
He just does not.
Dan Castellanetto, just a very talented actor.
Very talented.
Does not look like the voice of Homer Simpson.
It's fun when he goes into it.
It's amazing.
It's a neat transformation, yeah.
Yeah.
Exigent situation.
Yeah, you hated that
Judge.
word, exigent. Sana accused me of putting one really difficult phrase, like a tongue twister phrase, into every episode just to challenge her.
Judge, I
I told her
hate
it was
names,
not.
too.
It was not intentional.
A couple of witness names and suspect names.
You know, I remember this. Isn't this the day that Obama won the election?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, we were filming, and
Yes.
yeah,
That's
so
right.
the last shot of the day.
Are you sure you can?
Just after the last shot of the day, they called the election for him.
Very exciting day. That was an apartment building. This was in an apartment building.
It's the
This was on the
Pacific
Downtown
7th,
LA.
8th floor.
It's an old train building.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really loud. That's all I
That's New
remember.
York,
All
right
the
there.
marble,
New York.
really loud. Yeah, this is back in New York.
This
This
is
was a
Brian
building that-
Avers, a New York actor. It's
Brian
wonderful.
Avers, he was
One
great.
thing that I think we miss in here in LA that we have in New York are all the scaffoldings. for
I'll tell you a
construction.
quick story about that. Is as I was beginning my scouts through New York, not knowing New York that well, I was like, where can I find a building without scaffolding? This is crazy. I can't.
There's so
And
many.
we actually needed to shoot this building on this street for
Because
a
of the
particular
alley.
reason. For the alley at the end.
Yeah.
And then
There are very few great alleys in New York. We found a great alley here.
shot it. Somebody saw the pilot, I think, or somebody said, that's so perfect. It's exactly what New York looks like. It's all scaffolding.
It's all scaffolding.
We finally couldn't avoid the scaffolding, and we just said, look, it's New York. It's everywhere. And we drive everywhere, and there'd be scaffolding. Even across the street, there's scaffolding.
How about next season we buy a length of scaffolding?
love this moment.
Just slap it up in front of buildings.
Oh, yeah.
I love this moment. There's just enough sass and sex to
I know
to
right
both
there
characters.
when Nathan, when he was calling to her, and you know we're shooting very fast, so sometimes Nathan and I are talking to each other during the take. The way he said "come on," I thought he needs to sound like a kid, and I just yelled out the word so he could hear me, adolescent. He said "come on," and right there was another little chisel into the statue of who Castle is. I said, "There's a little bit of that 14-year-old in there."
Good bit. I like this bit.
Open the door, Harrison.
I remember watching this scene, watching you actually film this scene, and when you took your sock off, I said to myself, those are the shortest toes.
That's actually in L.A. We shot that insert in L.A., and this is back in New York.
The shortest toes on a man over 6 feet tall.
Oh my God, you are such a foot guy, and you just tipped your hat. Now everybody knows.
It's all good, dude.
I got a lot of foot fetish letters from that scene.
Did you really?
No, I did not. But now you're into it, and now you like it.
Now you will, after people.
I love he's running down holding his shoe.
Shot in New York.
Oh man, that was tough because every time we did that shot, we had to reload that bag.
Oh,
we had to
that's right.
rip it again. We got to clean up the alley.
Did several takes too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very good about keeping the alley clean for me so I could run down barefoot without getting tetanus or something.
You had a pad on your foot there, but it didn't help much. Right?
Here's some good Beckett cop right here. Boom. That looks great.
Wow, look how she holds that weapon.
Yeah, that's great.
And then this bit where you check your hair. Yeah. Oh,
Don't come anywhere closer. Stay back. Don't move. Let him go, Harrison.
That is very tactical stuff.
there's a part coming up here that I am very proud of.
You should be very proud of that.
What heart? The part with the standoff and with the disarm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Castle, you are not helping.
You know what I think? I think you did ask.
So, very, very tense scene. We're back in kind of conventional action area, but we want to put a different twist on it. And what's fun about the scene is that all Castle wants to do is make the story make sense.
Yeah.
It's like, the story doesn't make sense. Make the story make sense for me. I don't care if you're holding a gun against
It's
me.
almost like he doesn't really even realize the stakes of the situation.
It's not over. It's not over. Drop the gun or I swear to God I'll...
Oh God, the sound effect.
Tell me you saw that!
It's too loud.
That was Nathan's line. Tell me you saw that.
Yeah, that's
He
what I'm
came up-
proud of.
Yeah, he came up with
I
it on the
love
day.
that.
It was a great line. Great line.
I thought it was a very, very, very cool kind of action hero move, and I
Yeah.
don't think that's quite Castle.
Yeah.
I thought that tag on it puts it into a spot where Castle.
Tell me you saw that.
Yeah.
I just elevated.
Who's that guy next to Colby French?
Well, guess this is it.
You guys were in the back there trying to work out who was going to read the Miranda rights in the background, right?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
actually.
So I can be another one of your conquests.
Or I could be one of yours.
A futile fight.
I love how this was shot in New York with our DP out there, Mike Slovis, and I love how Rob and Mike made cop lights sexy.
Well, when you're shooting towards her, you put all the cops behind her, and when you're shooting towards him, you drive him around the street and put them behind
Yeah,
him.
it's the same cars.
Yeah.
I like that moment.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, this is
Well played, Stana, as well.
This is the moment where you're like, either you have a series or not. When he's staring at her walk away.
Where's your gun and your badge, Stone?
Yeah. Lost the gun on the badge.
I think
I can't find it.
She had Esposito hold it for her
I see.
while she handled that business.
Drives me nuts.
Andrew, you're the one who
It's
told me
so
this is how writers write, by poking with the first finger.
Oh no, that's how I write.
You're a writer.
It's hell on my back though. But
Nice, nice.
yeah.
I like that.
That was I thought that was a really nice moment in the alley, and the song is sincere, and I think we're kind of used to those heartwarming, connective endings, and then here comes the castle spin.
Check out that view out the
It's amazing.
the window. You have that bridge out there.
It's really there.
It's really there.
No way.
In this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's gone because we're in New York right here.
But he did help solve this case.
Oh.
And when the mayor's happy, the commissioner's happy. And when the commissioner's happy, I'm happy.
How long, sir?
Oh, it's up to him.
What? Well.
You know, Nathan was so terrific in this role, and he also was a real leader for us when we got on set. So much so that when we were in New York, he organized this game, this accomplice game, which was kind of a treasure hunt through New York.
It's like a street theater.
Yeah, with all these crazy characters, and we had to put clues together. So it was the cast and the executive producers, and we were running around New York in the rain. It was really great team building, and it was I think it was that everybody really gelled and came together as a family.
I've
Really good stuff.
never forgiven him.
Yeah.
It was great.
I really still
Thank
was
you.
great.
I still
Thank you.
like you.
Cheers.